I just know it's going to be a wild ride, so I'm just like, okay, I gotta emotionally and mentally prepare myself for this. Yeah. I love this so much. I kind of feel bad because I feel like this is serious, and so like I shouldn't wear this. But like this is my snuggie. This is my Pepe snuggie. I like it's comfy for React streams. Let's get into this.
This is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. But this right here is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. This is you. This is your sister, your wife, your daughter. But this is you. And this is their reaction when you are killed. This is the joy they feel when your sister is raped, when your children are castrated, brainwashed to hate you. This is their ecstasy when the floor of the subway car is awash in your blood. This is you. Make no mistake, that is a symbol. That is you. But this won't last long. They can't help themselves because they're so ugly and so low that the only joy they can experience, the only good that they can envision is to take something beautiful or innocent down to their level. And when they can't do it, the next best thing is blood. This is Charlie's family, and these are his children who will never be able to hug their dad and grow up with a murdered father. And these are the people who smugly revel in this, and they won't stop with just Charlie. The boats are burned. There's nobody coming to help. The barbarians are at the gate. This is the fall of ancient Rome that we are living through currently. And what happens in the next 2 weeks is going to determine the future of mankind. That's not hyperbole. That's just how it is. A few notes before we start. I've seen some Twitter posts from people lamenting, apologizing, because their last interactions with Charlie were less than kind. And congratulations if that's you, because that's proof that you have a soul. And similarly, I think we had to cut 30 minutes from the last episode of Sam Hyde Show because I called him something not nice. Some people offering their condolences, paying their respects, etc. started off with a qualifier. Well, I didn't agree with Charlie on everything, you know. Essentially that he wasn't based enough. And this is fine too. We all have some strain of autism that is compels us to constantly signal how based we are, and that's fine. And it's fine because
fuck. Everybody was like, these first few minutes are quite impactful, and I can see why. Like, Sam Hyde's the funny man. He's been spending, since the beginning of the year, getting a little bit more serious and talking about these more serious issues. But just to see Sam Hyde cry is definitely not a easy thing to watch. Seeing the funny man cry like that. And he's correct, 100% correct on this stuff. I noticed one thing with all the clips of he was playing back with all the people cheering on Charlie Kirk's death was just all the commonalities. Is either a woman, they're fat, they have piercings and or tattoos, and colored hair, and or they're brown. Just all those common denominators, red flags that the left loves to have. And just, proves the stereotype more. But the real reason I wanted to pause at this time was about everybody apologizing here, because I did see quite a lot on my timeline too. And I was talking with somebody relatively recently, a few days ago, who was confused and upset that so many people are coming out acting like they were in love with Charlie, even though they spent a good chunk of, their commentary shitting on him, or didn't really talk about him at all, or whatever the case is. And they kind of saw those people as like grifters, and just it rubbed them the wrong way, especially those that, like Sam Hyde mentioned, would apologize and be like, like I feel bad because what I said to Charlie wasn't nice before he died. And I can understand where they're coming from that mentality, because when you spend, let's say, half of your career as a commentator, whatever the case is, shitting on somebody, then turning around the next moment and crying over their death, it does kind of look a little bit disingenuous. I can understand that mentality, but I disagreed with them because I think for a lot of people, including me, somebody, because I think I've been honest about this, right? I never was a fan of Charlie Kirk. I just never really got into his content. It just really wasn't for me. Watching, debates on college and stuff like that, it just, I don't know. I've always liked coverage over the new topics over like watching debates. I don't know, it's just something that like I personally prefer. So I never really got into Charlie Kirk's content myself, but I've always known about him and knew he was more moderate with that stuff. But for a lot of people, including me, and I think for a lot of people that shat on Charlie while he was alive, is on the right. I mean, I don't mean the left. The left is obviously a whole different beast. Is the fact that they never thought he would actually die. That's the thing. Nobody really expected Charlie Kirk to be assassinated on the right. Like he has everybody just okay, he exists, right? This is what he does. He goes to college campuses, talks to people. He runs Turning Point USA. He's got a family. He's just like me, whether that be Elijah Schaffer or Tim Pool. I was gonna say Milo Yiannopoulos, but I think it's a bit different. Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens. All these big name people that do this political commentary on whatever platform that they do. They all have their own lives as well, and they all just continue existing doing what they do. And Charlie was no different than that. Nobody thought he was going to die, and nobody thinks they're going to die, really. He wasn't a politician, right? Like everybody has been expecting for years now for Trump to be assassinated, right? Ever since 2015, 2016, that people it was just a matter of time before somebody would try to assassinate Trump. Everybody kind of expected it with how bad the rhetoric from the mainstream media, online, etc., etc. Trump was the big target. Like everybody kind of expected it would happen eventually, even though it's bad, obviously, right? And it's a miracle Trump even survived that one attempt that happened last year. But Charlie Kirk, he's not a politician. He's honestly, all things considered, a random guy. I mean, I know what he did wasn't random and he had a big effect on people, but he doesn't have that same position exactly. It was supposed to just be a regular day. And then he was assassinated like that. Nobody expected him to die. That's the whole mentality of you never know what you had until you lost it. You take things for granted. That's exactly essentially what happened. You people do this on a daily basis with their family members, their friends, their pets, their jobs, right? When you get so used to something existing, you eventually do, take things for granted. And that's essentially what happened with Charlie. Because, they're so used to debating him and criticizing him, etc., etc., they never expected him to die. And now that he's gone, they've realized, oh shit, he's dead. And the last thing I said to him was that he was piece of shit, a Jew, Israel informant, or not right enough, or whatever the case is, that they said about him. And like Sam Hyde is saying, the fact that they're apologizing for that means that they actually do care and have a soul, because it's that realization that, oh fuck, he's gone, and I was a shitty person to him. It's a sign of regret and sadness and sympathy. It's over, and they weren't so kind that they did take him for granted. And I think, like Sam Hyde is saying, that that's a good sign that people are coming out and apologizing for how they treated with Charlie, because that means that they do care. And I don't see that as grifting, like the person I was talking to the other day about. I don't see it as disingenuous. I see it as people realizing how bad the situation has gotten. And it's a wake-up call for a lot of people. And it shows the times that we're in. It could be any one of us now, exactly, right? There's already people on the left calling for his wife, Erica, to be assassinated. There's already people calling for Matt Walsh and Candace Owens and Tim Pool, Ben Shapiro. The list goes on and on of all these major conservative commentators. Whether you agree with them or not, there's already a lot of people saying that they should be next. It's a sign of the times and how bad things have gotten, especially on the left and in America. Because it's not just some random schizos online. These people are all over the place. The amount of stories out there of people just, talking to their friends and in real life, people who barely know who Charlie is and celebrating it because they believe the lie that he was some radical fascist Nazi extremist. And they're happy that he's gone and don't actually realize, one, how moderate he is and how what's coming next, and two, just what he actually was and what he was doing. But it's endless. It's like literally like half the fucking country. I'm not even being hyperbolic here. It's basically like half the fucking country. It's insane. It's very upsetting.
We're stuck with this problem together. We're in this together. This is banter. It's for us to talk about. It's for our side to talk about. It's not for outsiders to try to use logic against us, to try to hold us to rules that they don't hold themselves to. That's all that needs to be said about it. The fact is, Charlie Kirk is a martyr. Mm-hmm. He is a Christian white martyr. If you are Christian, if you are white, if you're a shit lib who miraculously somehow still believes in free speech, Charlie Kirk died for you. And he probably would have done it, anyway. I talked to Alex Stein a lot about him. He probably still would have done it if he knew he was going to die doing it.
Jesus Christ. That's
we're
insane.
All united now in a
I mean, holy fuck. He would still go to that event knowing he was going to die. Maybe it's my woman brain, but I can't wrap my head around that. I would think, no, I would skip that event, save my life, and then that way I can continue doing more events in the future. And then also, make sure not to give people PTSD from that too. That's a very honorable mentality there. And it's definitely a very masculine mentality too, because a lot of women can't wrap their brains around dying for a cause. As well as men do. I don't know if I could do that. It's definitely a good morality question to test yourself and see what you value more. I don't want to say value more. That has the wrong implication. It definitely makes you think. That's for sure. Would you die for the cause that you strongly believe in and for the good of the country, or would you save yourself or your family? Then again, based off how many men go to war and die for it, I guess that is a necessary mentality to have, but I don't know. I would definitely need to think about that. Maybe I really am too woman brain, but I mean, jokes aside, I don't even really want to use that excuse for the woman brain for this, because this is a serious topic, and fighting for your country often means fighting for your family and for the future of your children. That's true. That's very true as well. If only you knew your family would be okay, secure and safe and taken care of financially, that would be a pretty important factor too. Do you want to spend good times with your family, or do you want to die for your belief? The world dies if good men do nothing. That's also very true as well. So personally, I don't think I would have the courage when the time came. I only know for certain when time came. Makes sense. We plant trees and only will never sit under the shade of the leaves. That's true. It's an honorable and worthy cause. I'm sure there's a mama bear in you somewhere. The context you're in right now isn't essential, so it's not something you would think you can do. I guess so. Right now, I'm just, sitting in my dad's basement. I'm not exactly doing anything grand, am I? Not saying there's a good answer. It is what it is. That's true. Obviously, we do need good men to create good times. And those good men often sacrifice themselves to create those good times. Then it feels rich coming from me, a woman. And obviously, women aren't the ones dying in war. We're not the ones sacrificing ourselves for the greater good most of the time. We're the ones sitting at home, honestly taking care of the kids or handling things back here, which is just as important. You can easily make the argument. But at the same time, there is obviously a difference there between sacrificing your life and keeping things controlled at home. And I don't really feel like I have the right to say what men should die for. because I'm not the one actually sacrificing my life. Like when I learned about the white feathers that the British woman would give out during, was it World War One or World War Two? I think it was World War One. It was one of the world wars. That they would give out to basically goad men to die in the war. It just angered me so much. It angered me so much learning about that, how women would have the audacity to goad men into forcing themselves to die for, honestly, a needless war like that. I don't think it's right for a woman to dictate that when we're not the ones actually dying and sacrificing everything. I do think what he did is, if he were to do the event knowing he was going to die, I do think is very honorable. At the same time, I just feel for the family. If my death would cause an awakening of people and lead people to victory, then as a man I couldn't walk away, and my death would mean something, then I march with a smile to it. Reading that makes me proud that there are men out there like you that could do that, to sacrifice themselves for making things better for us, because I do feel like that trait is fading within the modern mentality. But I also feel wrong because I don't feel like it's the woman's right to dictate how you should die. The hero often doesn't get to see the happy end he sacrifices himself. He just has to have faith it's not in vain. Yes, and I definitely don't want Charlie Kirk's death to be in vain, and I don't think it will. I do hope good things occur.
Battle for the soul of mankind. And by the way, this is why we have free speech in the first place. It's not because of some 1960s hippie commie staged tree that we have free speech. It's not because Mr. Jew in a bow tie went on a bus and marched on Washington. The reason we have free speech is because at pivotal stages throughout human history, Christian white men mostly have decided that yes, actually, it would be worth dying to prove a point. That's how it happened. That's how we got this. The free speech that you enjoy, to the extent that you're able to have free speech, is because of that. Posting right now, I haven't seen too much of it, but for the sake of your own souls, you might not want to do that. And I say that as somebody who didn't always take everything as seriously as I should. And there's, you don't have to take everything seriously, but there's a wrong time to do stuff. And it might have spiritual ramifications. I'm worried for you. That's all why I'm saying it. And lastly, important thing before rocking out here. I think that we are all so smart and internet savvy that it's not possible for someone like me or like you or like little Timmy Thomas on his computer. He's got 10 Discord channels. He's a computer wizard.
Timmy Thomas is prolific on Discord.
It would be impossible for someone as smart as us to fall for any kind of psyop or emotional manipulation at a time like this. But on the off chance that this is a very small chance, on the off chance that somebody somewhere with an agenda, there's almost no chance this is happening. No. On the off chance that somebody somewhere with an agenda might be looking to capitalize on this event, spin it for nefarious purposes, very small chance this is happening. I can't see this happening. Even though we're so smart, it might behoove us to choose our words, would you say carefully?
Cautiously, carefully, intentionally.
A degree of precision. Discriminately, including your own internal dialogue. No matter what the result of the speculation is, the end result is the same, and that's that you, white man, are under attack, and that's that. Let's take a look at who our enemies are here.
I do want to add here, obviously he's being a little facetious here, being a little bit funny with the whole, nobody would ever use this stuff for nefarious means and emotionally manipulate us, right? I do want to point out that, while obviously I've been doing a lot of coverage over Charlie Kirk, including obviously tonight's stream about the topic here in the vid, I am aware, and I do want to cover maybe like Wednesday, I don't know, sometime soon, about some of the things that have actually occurred underneath the whole Charlie Kirk situation, because it is quite disastrous what has actually happened. Not obviously Charlie Kirk's assassination, but there has been a bill passing. I don't have the tab pulled up, so I'm not going to be able to quote to the exact figures. But there's a few million that were given to Israel for the defense. There was a Senate hearing over the vaccines and how damaging they are, with over 463% more likely to cause the vaccine children to have damages than non-vaccinated kids. Once again, don't quote me on the numbers for that because I don't have things pulled up right on hand with it. That Senate hearing happened also while everybody's been talking about the Charlie Kirk assassination. Basically came out how dangerous vaccines actually are, not just COVID, just vaccines in general. And then there's more funding for Israel and other stuff has been happening too. But there was apparently this conference with the logo behind it saying 50 states, one Israel, and that had Netanyahu and like a bunch of other like something with Republicans. That's something I need to look into. Like, there's been a lot of shady shit that's been happening behind the scenes while everybody's talking about Charlie Kirk, and I do think it is important to talk about Charlie Kirk and his assassination because of how much an effect it has on society and our culture and what needs to come next. But it terrifies me what is happening behind the scenes that nobody's talking about because they're talking about Charlie Kirk. Because they're using what has happened to him, as essentially the smokescreen to hide everything that they're doing. And it terrifies me that they're getting away scot-free because of this. Like, don't get me wrong, once again, talking about Charlie Kirk and the effects it has and everything is important, and that's why I keep on talking about it. But we also need to be aware of what they're using this against us, even as they claim to say it's in our favor. This is insane that this happens, and it does make me want to put the tinfoil on and believe some conspiracy theories, because it does look like this has been planned in a lot of ways to push an agenda. And while it's beneficial for the right, and it's definitely allowed the roaches to come out of the woodwork a lot more, when it comes to the left, if we do allow ourselves to be distracted too much by the left, which I do think it is an important threat and we should take care of, but if we allow things like Israel to work behind the scenes, we're just going to end up in the same position, if not worse. It is important, and people need to be aware of it. The visa/travel ban for criticizing Israel bill didn't pass, by the way. Okay, that's a relief, if that's true. Not doubting you, Chad. I just need to look into it myself. It is a common tactic by the government that's used by the left and the right, and not trying to be like, both sides this, but it's the government. No matter who's in charge, even though I'm generally a Trump supporter, no matter who's in charge, it's always important to remember that they're not in your favor, and they're not working in your favor. They just pretend that they are.
I tweeted at the quartering because he said, I love the quartering, he's my guy. He said, don't look at the video. You got to look at these videos. You have to know what these people are trying to do to you. You have to know, you don't even have a family. That's the thing. You don't have a family because they've set up this clown world where you're convinced not to start a family. It's economically impossible to start a family. But if you had even if you had a family, you don't even know what's been taken from you. That's what's so fucked up. You have to watch these. You have to know that there is evil out there in the world. This isn't like being 15 and watching Best Gore or something. You have to know that there is evil out there in the world. There's this idea of the seen versus the unseen. And I gotta say, thank God Irina Zarutska was hot.
No, it does. It calls more attention to it.
No shit. Mm-hmm. For every one of these people being killed, who could be a relative of yours, it could be someone you cared about, it could be you. For every one of these people, there are thousands. Just alone in the UK, the girls being raped. Mm. Isn't it like over 100,000? How many is it? We don't see it because there's no video of it, and the media is not publicizing it.
And the details of each and every one of those are like science fiction level. I can't comprehend how bad, yeah.
And then the police in the UK arresting the victims. That's a common pattern I've noticed too.
Yeah.
Fucking man.
Like folded into that one video of her getting stabbed is like, hundreds of thousands of people. Or
it makes the magnitude of the problem obvious even to boomers and retards on Facebook.
Right.
Which is why that video is important. It's why you have to memorize it. You can't let this stuff fade away.
Not to make this about myself here, but that does make me irritated that YouTube, the reason why I got a strike on YouTube is over that live stream covering what happened to Irina Zarutska there, because That was an important live stream, in my opinion, and it's gone now. Obviously, it's on Rumble still and Kick, and you guys are obviously on Rumble and Kick since there's no YouTube available for me to stream on. But YouTube is the main platform. It's the big platform. This is where people go to watch this kind of stuff, not alternative websites like Kick and Rumble. And so it does make me irritated, not just because I got a strike on my channel, but because it was that stream. Granted, honestly, the Charlie Kirk stream would have also been really irritating too. But because those are such big, important events that discuss what is happening to our society, our culture, our country in real time, and how bad things have gotten, and then now it's gone now from YouTube because YouTube didn't like it. So, and it's very irritating to say the least. And it makes things difficult because now in the future, I do have to be a bit more careful. And so streams won't be as spicy and nice as they used to be, which is something that I kind of figured would happen eventually, but doesn't make me happy that it has to be that way. So
You have to watch these too. You have to internalize this. You have to realize that this is real. These are the people going to a vigil and shouting, "Fuck Charlie Kirk." But if anything like this pops off and people get in legal trouble, I will put money towards this if someone out there is capable of organizing that in a non-scammy way. Hit play on this.
of course there's a fucking woman screeching in the background. Stop! 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 You're welcome for your eardrums, by the way. Like, I hate women so fucking much. I mean, don't get me wrong. Violence bad, you know. It shouldn't exactly be the people on the streets, but man, I fucking hate women.
Notice, unlike a black attack, they're not killing this guy.
Right.
You cannot hide from this content. It's important not to be obnoxious, but everybody needs to know about this stuff. Click view on the post that's muted. America, we must come together around in condemning the cruel and violent assassination of Charlie Kirk and become one nation that relies on the love. If you read the word love, have your defenses up. Be ready. The love and support of all of its citizens. Scroll up. I dream of an America with no Charlie Kirk. Don't believe any of these people when they say they want peace. They don't want peace. They just want to not lose. I don't think anybody, including myself, in America really, with the exception of people who've been victims of violent crimes or perpetrated them, understand how bad civil war would be. But do not believe these people when they say they want peace. That's not what they want. They want to go back to flying under the radar and having the ability to fuck with you at liberty with no consequences. That's what they want. You need to remember that. Here's Gavin Newsom, this guy. The attack on Charlie Kirk is disgusting, vile, and reprehensible. In the United States of America, we must reject political violence in every form. Play the clip.
I'm sorry. I know some people's sensibilities. I respect and appreciate that. But right now, with all due respect, we're walking down a damn different path. We're fighting fire with fire, and we're going to punch these sons of bitches in the mouth.
Next clip.
Left-wingers, liberals, you need to be fucking showing your opponent's guts on there, okay? You need to be gutting them. You need to be shanking these motherfuckers
Jesus
and
fucking Christ.
letting their intestines just ride on stage. What the fuck is this shit, man? Slice them up. Slice them and fucking dice them. What the fuck is this?
874 Bellevue Drive, and I'm gonna kill you with my AR-15. Like that's the type of messages they were leaving in this dude's office, and he's resigning. Like he's literally, this is his last term. So I think that people are a lot more radical.
It's hurt poor people that they can afford housing in Berkeley. I don't know how that works.
My understanding is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude.
Oh my fucking god, that pisses me off to no fucking end. I swear to fucking god. As some of you may know, I used to have a Twitch as well. I really don't care that it's been lost, because fuck Twitch. However, I was mass reported. I said the N-word on Twitter. Ooh, spicy. It went viral, and I was mass reported for hate speech. Claimed it was actually on the platform of Twitch, which is not exactly, well, completely true. And I perma lost my Twitch. Nothing of value is lost. I don't really care. But it doesn't change the fact how irritating it is to have so many clips of Hassan just like that playing, that Hassan can say such vile shit like that and get away with it. Still have his thousands upon thousands of people on Twitch watching him, etc., etc. And, me gets permaban for hate speech that I said on Twitter that they claim that I did on site. Or the VTubers can't show their fucking hips. Or, whatever minor little offenses. There was another VTuber that said the death penalty is a good thing and got suspended for a while too. The list goes on and on and on. Everybody harps and says the exact same thing, but I'm gonna repeat it anyways. That Hassan can get away with all this shit all the fucking time, both on Twitter and on Twitch, gets in no repercussions, and he can say this vile fucking shit. Absolutely everything like that. Versus, I say funny, spicy words like and NWA, and then I basically lose everything, whether that be from Twitch or YouTube or whatever the case is, right? Because obviously I get spicy, right? But I'm not calling for their deaths. I'm not for mass genocide. Fun fact, by the way. Whether that be for blacks, for women, trannies, etc., etc. I just think there needs to be the law to be utilized against them, whether that be for crime, for terrorism, or for whatever the case is. There is a massive difference between, hey, I don't like these people because of how rapidly they are rising in the crime statistics, or what they think, and I'm gonna say mean words about them, versus calling for their streets to be paved in their capitalist blood. And Hassan just keeps on getting away with it. Then obviously the clip of Gavin Newsom saying we should punch them, and the list goes on and on and on. Funny thing is, all these clips I was thinking about showing on stream too, and the left just gets away with this, and it's a huge, it's the hypocrisy is insane. And everybody has been aware of this for years now. I had somebody talking to me the other day, once again, this different person this time, by the way, about how they're scared that people are going to retaliate to the left and assassinate some leftists. And I disagreed with them, because I won't be surprised if one crazy rogue goes out and does something stupid. But the right has been consistently, for years now, for decades now, saying that violence is bad, don't beat up people, don't murder people, blah blah blah, right? Because because it is bad. Violence is bad. You shouldn't be calling for political assassinations of people. And I don't see, as radical as the right is getting in such a short time because of Charlie Kirk's assassination, I don't see it getting to that point. And I hope it doesn't either, because once again, violence bad. I don't want to be like Tim Pool, Beanie Man, saying there's going to be a civil war. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a civil war, but I don't want there to actually be a civil war. Anyone who actually wants that has got a screw fucking loose, in my opinion. But I also think the left that needs to be crushed and demolished, and they are getting their just desserts. They have been allowed to have their free speech rights for all this time, and they've been utilizing it to actually call for violence repeatedly on all forms of social media and been able to get away with it. And now they're crying and freaking out over the right getting a little bit uppity and doxing, which, bad as well. But once again, just desserts, and getting upset about this stuff when you have all those clips of Hassan, for example, once again, to his, hundreds of thousands of viewers on Twitch and his massive platform, literally going in gruesome detail over all the horrible things he once done to these people. And I could never, even on my most racist rants you could think of, ever wish that upon a black person, or a tranny, or a gay, or a woman, or whatever the case is, of whatever ist and ob you want to call me, right? Like, it's insane. It's absolutely insane. There's something completely wrong, and something needs to change. And as somebody points out, it's very interesting how they want gun control laws, but they keep killing people with said guns. Very curious indeed. Or like AOC pushing for gun control after everything with Charlie Kirk. Like, that would save anything. That would change anything. It's just the left being disingenuous pieces of shits once again. The times are changing. I do think that they are. For better or for worse, time will tell, and the future is looking bright and scary at the same time, and it's nice. Once again, violence bad, doxing bad.
Honestly makes me nervous for Hassan. I don't even like how much trouble he's getting himself into. Like, it makes me, I hate this guy. It makes me nervous for him listening to him say this shit. This is opening a door that I don't think he understands and is not ready for.
It was so much worse than I thought it was going to be.
There's no other emotion that makes me nervous for him.
It felt like when Augustus Gloop fell in the chocolate river.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't know that that's so bad.
Yeah.
He's going to be stuck in a tube, and that's not a threat. I don't condone people being stuck in tubes.
We don't want to see people turned into blueberries. We don't want to see any fizzy lifting drinks, and we especially don't want to see anybody shrunk down into a television.
A TV.
That was the weirdest one. That was the yellow submarine of the movie.
Yeah.
That was a weird transformation.
All right, let's hear him talking about killing his fellow podcaster's wife or whatever this is.
Good Lord.
Every type of armed resistance against both the settlers and also the Israeli occupying force in the West Bank. Doesn't matter if it's your favorite podcasters like wife that participate in these raids. The violence that the Palestinians engage in an act of resistance against this illegal occupying force is literally legal, definitionally legal. It's just the truth.
Is it crazy to pray for Hassan?
No, absolutely
He looks so in over his head. This seems so dangerous.
I've never seen anybody say things that's blatantly violent.
This kid had a good point, too. The thing about cultivating a radical fan base is that you have to get progressively more and more extreme to satiate them and keep their attention. Hassan is now calling for the assassination of someone because they are Israeli. This was always the natural outcome of his politics. Yeah, he's like stuck. Like, how is he going to get out of this? Or what's the end wokeness tweet? And then the Speaker Johnson tweet.
This whole goddamn thing is that he is not martyr material, so his death will mean nothing. It will activate no one. It will impact few. It's just great.
What?
I don't think I've publicly expressed pathos for my, is that the word you look up? Pathos? Pity or sorrow? I've never relished the misfortune of iDubbbz, just so you guys know.
It's hard to see people lose.
Without hyperbole, I think this is the Rubicon moment here. And whatever happens in the next 2 weeks is going to determine the future, not just of this country, but of humanity. It's going to determine where we're positioned economically, defensively, culturally, etc., against China. Not that everything's a competition with China, but this idea of America being the best place. And it's not so much that it's important that the idea of America being the best place is true or something. It's what's important is that there's a land where there's a reasonable degree of peace and freedom and the ability to innovate and pursue your dreams and be an individual and be a people. For the Chinese, that's China, and they have their own problems, I'm sure, that I don't understand or care about. When it comes to white people, though, it seems like Europe is largely a museum on its way down the toilet. An elegant, beautiful museum full of plenty of people who are beautiful, good people who deserve to live, but it's not looking good for them, and that's not a fight that we really have a hand in, immediate agency in. This is our country, and it's all we know. We're not going anywhere. Would be a tragedy on many levels, on a human suffering level, on a human achievement level, on every conceivable level, for everything that our ancestors fought for to become Brazil or something like it or something worse. There's not going to be another moment like this, I don't think. In terms of intensity, sure, maybe, but in terms of possibilities, I don't think there will be another moment like this. I think this is the turning point for our country. It's critically important that we have the right attitude of optimism, compassion when it's warranted, reserve when it's warranted, resolve all the time. And that brings me to my next point. The Constitution has failed. I don't care about some fucking piece of paper. I don't. I went to high school. I learned about the Constitution. I know about the Holocaust and slavery. I saw it in a movie. I know about the Constitution. I saw that in the movies too, but in real life, it would appear that the Constitution is a fucking toilet rag that only gets thrown in our faces when it can be used against us, when it can be used to fuck with us, to make us poor, to displace us in our neighborhoods, to help us lose our jobs, to make it so that the jobs don't exist. That's when the Constitution is defended the most effectively, is when it can be used to make you ineffective. It's an artifact from a completely different planet. It's from a white country that was run by white Christian men. Does South Africa have a constitution?
I think so.
That's a ChatGPT deep research question. Does South Africa have a constitution? More importantly, has it helped them?
It is interesting how, like Christianity, it's used as a cudgel against its believers by people who actively don't follow it.
Yep.
And don't believe in it.
If you have opponents who are playing by the rules and you don't have any mandate to play by the rules, why wouldn't you use their rules against them? South Africa has a constitution.
Honestly, that's 100% true. Honestly, I'm at the point, and I won't lie, obviously, chat. I have been, ever since I started streaming last November, and, actually paying more attention to what's happening, because I've always been involved in politics since I was 12. That's when I got into politics all those years ago. And, but I never was really much on social media, and so I mostly just get my news from the YouTubers I would watch, and that would basically be it. But now that all the events that have occurred over the years, like with Trump in 2016, the election being stolen in 2020, obviously COVID, the Black Lives Matter and Summer of Love, the trans fucking issues, the etc., as things have gotten worse throughout the years, and I've shifted more and more to the right. And now that I'm my own content creator, blah, and doing my own thing now, and actually paying more attention and this stuff, I have become more radical in this past, little less than a year now. And I will not deny that. And I won't. It's because actually, once you pay attention and see what's happening and how bad things are getting, it does make you quite a bit more radical. And I am aware of that, and I'm actually kind of okay with that, frankly. I don't care about the Constitution anymore, really, right? Like, I like things like freedom of speech and the Second Amendment, and I do think they're really important. I do want to have the liberal principles. I still, in the heart of hearts, I still hold on to those beliefs. I really do, because I do think those are important, and I do want them. But you can't look at how society has turned into and been forced upon us and not realize that those standards cannot be applied correctly based off what our situation is. And until our situation changes, there's only really one way forward with it. For decades now, because it's been happening for decades. Obviously, most people like to focus on the past 10 to 15 years with the social justice warriors crawling out of college and Tumblr, Gamergate, and then Trump's election. And since then, a lot of people like to focus on the 10 to 15 years. And I agree, those are important because of how painfully aware leftist commie nonsense has made things what it is. But it is important that Yuri Bezmenov warned us in the 80s about what happened with communism. It's important to realize what the commies were doing and the Jews back in the 40s and 50s after World War II as well. This has been forced upon us for almost 100 years now, almost a century, as society is falling apart. And commies do not play fair and use our principles against us any single chance they can get, and happily do so. And you can painfully see that with how they're acting right now after Charlie Kirk's assassination, crying about free speech and losing their jobs for being doxxed, even though they were doing that to us for years upon years over COVID, Black Lives Matter, hate speech in general. How many videos of girls on Omegle saying the N-word and then losing their college scholarships and getting kicked out of college have occurred? I've seen plenty of those, right? Like, the left has purposely attacked the right, using our principles against us for decades now. What's the point of having principles if it's just going to stab us in the back? I want to have these principles. I want to have these rights. I want society to be like this because I do think it overall is good. But when we have commies and Jews and people who will backstab us happily, gleefully, and then cry when the attacks are used against us, what are we supposed to do in those situations? That is for you to find out, because I am the streamer.
Constitution. Can you ask Grok 4 Heavy if they can go wave the South African Constitution down there and prevent farmers from being murdered? If roving blacks come to your farm with phone jamming equipment and a plan to kill your family, would a copy of the South African Constitution come in handy? Click Think Harder, please. Down at the bottom, Think Harder. If roving feral blacks, who the government is encouraging to murder you, come to your farm to kill your children, Grok 4 Heavy's working pretty hard on this one. We have about 70,000 GPUs running right now, burning enough electricity to power Las Vegas. The phrasing suggests attackers use phone jamming, not the defender. Oh, this is amazing. This thing's basically thinking like a human.
It said no before, but it was not thinking back then.
It wasn't. Okay, this is the hard mode. It's likely asking if waiving the Constitution can prevent attacks where jammers are used. Let's search for 2025 statistics on farm attacks in South Africa. This is passing the Turing test. The definition of intelligence and sentience is whether a computer can pass an arbitrary test made by some in the 50s. And when he wrote the test, he went like this. Great Scott!
Eureka was uttered.
Eureka! No waving around the South African Constitution or any legal document, that's kind of damning, won't do much to deter or prevent a violent attack on your farm. Here's the important part. It's a powerful symbol of rights and equality, but it doesn't come with a built-in force field. That said, let's break down your question factually based on South African law, crime realities, self-defense rights. So you could hold it up and claim your self-defense rights.
How heavy is it?
A 2025 case analysis notes that if the threat is unlawful and imminent, self-defense can be a valid legal defense even with an unlicensed firearm. Wow. Because that Constitution sounds pretty powerful. That actually sounds more powerful than our Constitution, because if you defend yourself in our country, you're fucked.
Yeah.
But no longer, hopefully. We'll see. We'll see what happens in the next 2 weeks. Trump survived a bullet. He survived multiple bullets from an assassin. And the assassin was a freak from some sort of Blackwater incubation tank where they manufacture freaks. I don't even want to say that because the kid, it's probably some kid that had his brain, probably was tortured with electrodes. Who knows?
Right.
Who knows what fucking happened? What chemical?
Okay, it's actually funny he said this because I was training my horse girls last night before bed, and I said, you know what? Fuck it, I do want to actually listen to somebody. I haven't really been in that mood to do that in a while. I actually started watching Blair White videos again. Now, I'm sure most of the community probably doesn't really care for Blair White, understandably so. But I kind of wanted to see what he was saying about the train stuff. And one thing he brought up in his videos covering the trans shooter from the with the Christian school that happened a few weeks ago was about MK Ultra and how they're the crazy fucking shit that the government does to mind control people. And he also brought up the fact that the Trump assassin had ties with BlackRock. Actually, both Trump's assassins had ties to BlackRock, apparently. And now Sam Hyde's saying there's probably some mind control stuff happening, too. It's just, I don't know, I felt like that was some a perfect timing, essentially. I'm glad I listened to my intuition to watch some of that, because it did kind of make me think a little bit, too. There's many theories over who did what for what cause in these tragic situations. But Blair's was the first one I've really seen talking about MK Ultra mind control. And I thought it was really unique. And now Sam Hyde's also kind of bringing that up, too. And I'm like, huh. It does make you think a little bit.
Were inserted into Trump's would-be assassin. But Trump, by the grace, he turned his head. You remember this?
Oh, yeah.
He turned his head like 10 degrees and avoided the lethal shot. He avoided the lethality of it. It got his ear. He avoided the lethality of the shot, much to the dismay to these fucking freaks on TikTok who think it would be a good thing somehow if the president were killed. In my opinion, that is a mandate from heaven. If you ever survive an assassin's bullet in that scenario, I would imagine that means something like you have been ordained by God to do God's work on the planet. You've been spared, and you've been spared in such a dramatic and improbable and miraculous fashion that you have a mandate from heaven to do God's work on earth. Now, is Trump, he's talking...
Honestly, I'm not religious myself, but Trump's assassination is one of the few things that have definitely pushed me closer to it, because holy fucking shit. If you want example of a miracle, that is it. But I did find out last week, because I was talking to my sister about the Charlie Kirk assassination, that apparently which I love my sister, she's basically my mother figure. I respect her a lot. I think she's a little bit too cuckoo on the conspiracy thing, even for me. She's a little bit much, but I know she's not wrong either on a lot of things too. However, last week when I was talking with her about Charlie Kirk, I found out that apparently she thinks Trump's assassination attempt, the one where they nicked his ear, is fake. And I just did not know how to respond to her with that. I did not know how to respond to her. She did notice the shift, because I was just like, it was like an awkward 5 minutes after she said that, because I was just like, what is wrong with you? How do I respond to this? So obviously I disagree with her, but I wasn't going to get into a debate. Then she started ranting about how his ear was fine, it was fake blood, it was all staged, blah, 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 blah. It was like AI or something along those lines, and I'm just like, sure, sis, okay, I'm going to disagree, but, we weren't even going to talk about, it wasn't even planned to talk about Charlie Kirk, because we were going to talk about other things, but the assassination just happened, and I don't really like this conversation anymore. But I dude literally died. I know, I brought that up to her briefly, and she still said it was fake, and I'm just like, okay, we're gonna move on. I'm not gonna have this conversation here. I'm just like, okay, sister, sure.
Are you talking about getting into heaven?
He has been talking about getting into heaven lately, apparently.
He has a mandate from heaven, and now what he has with this confluence of events is a sort of open runway to enact whatever policies he could imagine in his wildest dreams. He has a blank check to do whatever he wants, in my opinion.
And a limited time to do it.
And a very limited time to do it. I don't think that's an overstatement. I don't think that's crazy to say. Is that crazy to say?
No.
I suppose it would be a means in which it would make Charlie Kirk, it would make him not have died in vain.
That's also true.
Yeah. There's a lot of things at play that make what that chick said completely false. Like, she said that he's not martyr material, which is what I think she means is he's not a target one would expect. I think the truth behind that is he's not a guy that even remotely had it coming, not that anybody does, but he's not even on the radar of guys that deserve that. And what he represents is...
It's exactly what I said earlier about discussion over people being disingenuous over being upset over his death. Nobody expected it to happen.
Because he's such a non-martyr material, he represents that it could happen to everybody. And I see a lot of people saying, that's my uncle's politics, that's my grandfather's politics. And they are now realizing that, oh, they want my loved ones dead.
Yeah.
For holding some of the most benign political stances.
This is a historical moment, and there's the charge is there, the critical mass is there to do historical shit in a way that it hasn't been since 2015. There hasn't been a moment like this, arguably, at any point in Trump's presidency or in Biden's presidency. And I think this is going to define him. It's time for Trump and the people in his administration to get off their asses and do something. He's been able to enact policies like Project 2025 when it comes to punishing pro-Palestinian demonstrators, but so far that's all he's been able to get with this. So here's what I would do if I had a mandate from heaven and I had the opportunity to fulfill that mandate. And I don't, so this is just speculation, but this is what I would do. First of all, any city where the body count on a given weekend is the same or worse than the body count in one of these shithole Mosul, Gogul. If it's a U.S. city where the body count is more than the DE Dust 2 Counter-Strike map in a deathmatch game, there needs to be military presence there. That's not a crazy thing to say. It's a national emergency when you have cities where there's 64-player map death matches happening every weekend. The people that perpetrate this violence in any American city, it's not hundreds of thousands of people. If you took the 80 most violent criminals and put them away for life, you would end American crime, 95% of it, overnight. If you took the most violent people and locked them up and throw away the key, the 14-time felony offenders, there aren't that many of them. There are not 1 million of them. In an average city, there's not even 100 of them. It's a very simple matter. You take these people, lock them up, the worst ones. The abolition of the death penalty is...
Okay, maybe he's being a little hyperbolic here, but there's more than 100 of them. I guess he means in the average city, but even still, the gang problem, both with blacks, Hispanics, and the rest, are actually pretty bad. It's just, a lot of these people aren't even getting caught. All right, there's a good chunk being caught and then set free once again. But there's also a lot not being caught either. The crime statistics are definitely not in black people's favor in any way, shape, or form. And obviously we have the whole joke about 1350. It's more like 1360. And obviously it's mostly young black males from ages 14 to 25, roughly within there too. I mean, but for fuck's sakes, if you look at statistics as well, black women are more likely to commit murder than white men. It's not even just the percentages from that either. It's quite of a rampant problem when it comes to these cities. You don't want to, this should be nipped in the bud at the first offense, in my opinion. If I had the mandate of heaven, this would be nipped in the bud at the first offense. I wouldn't allow it to become repeat offenders in any way, shape, or form. I know that's kind of what they're already advocating. But you see there's this one French account that's pretty big on Twitter who once it's hits the third offense, that's when the statistics really ramp up. No, stop at the first offense, but put them away permanently at the first offense. That's my opinion. Is it harsh? Yeah, but then again, don't commit crime. It's not that hard.
Fuck, where's that? I'm so phone-brained. There was a tweet about it talking about how Plato, the excess of liberty, whether in states or individuals, seems only to pass into excess of slavery. Aristotle, he who bids the law rule may be deemed to bid God and reason alone rule, but he who bids man rule adds an element of the beast, for passion perverts the minds of rulers even when they are the best of men. Thomas Hobbes, during the time men live without a common power to keep them all in awe, they are in that condition which is called war, and such a war as is of every man against every man. Cesare Beccaria. I don't remember what games he made music for, but crimes are more effectually prevented by the certainty than the severity of punishment. Nietzsche, a great danger for mankind begins with the criminal indulgence of decadence, with the sympathy for the ill-constituted and weak. I don't know who that last one is, probably some pedophile, so we'll skip that one. Point being, if Trump doesn't care enough about us to keep us safe in our cities, then fuck him. Arrest James Comey. Can you pull up the Constantino? So this is James Comey on Instagram here, posting 8647. Can you even believe this? That this guy is walking around, that's a death threat.
Yeah.
He needs to be in fucking jail.
What's 8647? I have no idea what that is.
86 means kill, 47 is the 47th president.
Oh, interesting.
Just because you're speaking in code doesn't mean it's not a death threat. It makes Trump look like a fucking clown that Comey hasn't been arrested for that. That's ridiculous. Now's the time. Lock his ass up. Mass deportations, energy deregulation, firing civil servants. The Democrat Party, wrap it up. Whatever pretext you have to, I'm not a lawyer, okay? I used to be. Whatever the pretext is, RICO, case, whatever, the people who have called for violence, they should have a day in court. That has to happen. All leftists who have called for violence or hinted at it have to be arrested. Tim Waltz, any celebrity who said, wouldn't it be funny if President Trump were assassinated? Pretending like that's not a dangerous threat and not taking action on it makes him look like a fucking clown. This presidency's a joke. Whoever around him is telling him not to do these things, you have to get rid of them. The women, the Indians, anybody in the administration who's weak sauce on punishing crime, they have to be eviscerated. You got to get them out of there. Just kick them out, man. Programs like Ukraine.
Pam Bondi and Kash Patel. I fucking hate them so much. They're DEI hires. Seriously. Trump was like, I'm gonna get rid of DEI root and stem, even if they tried to obfuscate it, blah, 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 blah. Great. Love it. Obviously, DEI bad. Let's get rid of it and throw it into the fire and make sure it never rises again. Great. But women have no place in politics, and Indians aren't Americans. They should get deported. Kash Patel and Pam Bondi should not be part of the administration. They should be ousted immediately. Then they've proved themselves their stereotype. They are useless. They have been a complete disaster in the past, what? How many months has Trump been in the presidency now? Like 8 months-ish, roughly, because it was like end of January he got sworn in, right? Like, they've been absolutely useless, absolute fucking disaster. They prove their stereotypes. Women are incompetent, and Indians are also scammers and incompetent too. Get rid of them. I hate them so much.
Aid, green energy, shut all that shit down. Any NGO or however these people organize their graft, 501c, I don't know how it works. These organizations, any money that's flowing into them, you got to cut that off immediately. Are all the J6ers out of jail, or are any of them still in jail?
That's a good question. There should be just very few, if any, but they too and
they should
the
get
crew.
Like after the fact pardons, like whatever the legal thing, like you did nothing wrong. They should get fucking medals. Mm-hmm. The J6ers should get medals, even the crazy ones. Even if one was there, got in a drunk driving accident after. Even the J6ers who are total crackpot, XRP, QAnon freak shows who got in drunk driving accidents and beat their wives after they got released from prison, they should get the fucking Medal of Honor. The guy that killed bin Laden, whatever medal he got a shiny one, chrome, rainbow chrome anodized. I don't know what these soldier medals are. I don't know anything about soldier lingo, so you can't be slinging that around me. I don't understand. But I know that if you're one of these fruitcake soldiers, you get a big shiny one that's got rainbow anodized, and it's like the S that everybody drew in high school. That's the highest one. Whatever that is, invent a new medal, okay? Invent a new one. Give it to all the J6ers and Derek Chauvin.
Yes.
Do that immediately. Yes. And Derek Chauvin has to be let out of jail.
Yes.
Yep. Derek Chauvin should be the head of NPR.
Chauvin.
Oh my fucking god. Oh my fucking... I've ranted about this a few times on stream, but I'm gonna do it again, because holy shit. Holy shit. So, back when Callum was on the Lotus Eaters, and Derek Chauvin was going through his trial those years ago, back in like 2020, Callum did extensive coverage over the Derek Chauvin trial. I hope it's still on their website. I would imagine it is. I've tried looking for it before, but I haven't been able to find it. I guess maybe I wasn't looking hard enough. Regardless of the case, give Sargon of Akkad $5 for the bronze tier to find it if it's not archived anywhere else, because it will be one of the most radicalizing things. Maybe not as much as Charlie Kirk, but I highly recommend watching Callum's coverage over the Derek Chauvin trial, because it is extremely radicalizing seeing what was done to him. And I will never, ever forget it. Because he was completely not even thrown over the bus. His bones and blood was created out of the pavement, and so many buses have gone over it over these years with their rainbow flags. Like, it's absolutely insane. I'm getting angry now, but it pisses me off to no end the amount of injustice that has occurred in Derek Chauvin's case, because it was proven no matter what, time and time again, it was proven that he did no wrong, right? George Floyd had enough fucking fentanyl to kill a horse in him. Actually, I think it was like twice the amount to kill a horse. It was some crazy fucking amount that he had in his system. Like, the whole mama stuff was not actually his mom. It was his drug dealer he was in the car with. You know, the knee on the neck, it wasn't actually on his neck. It was on the at the base of his neck and where his shoulder meets. So it's not actually choking out. It was within the police's training force to do that whenever the police thinks there's a drug overdose. So if they vomit, they don't choke on their vomit being upwards, and it keeps them down secure in the ground, right? And there's also the other 2 or 3 cops there, like the Asian and the woman, and then I think there was like one more else that are also there. That they did lose their jobs too, for which they shouldn't have lost their jobs. So granted, there's so many points of evidence that Derek Chauvin should be free and is innocent, and the jury completely threw it away because this was at the height of Black Lives Matter. This was a George Floyd, may God rest his soul, the saint of the vent, was pure and innocent. The jury's house, they were threatened repeatedly, they were openly doxxed, and then there was a guy who came out afterwards who admitted that he lied, that he was politically unbiased and was actually a huge activist within the local Black Lives Matter group. as well. He literally admitted that he infiltrated the jury on purpose to swing the vote. There are so many things that went wrong with Derek Chauvin's trial. It's not even funny, and I'm not even covering it all. I'm just going based off memory from Callum's coverage. Once again, give Sargon the $5 to check it out. I know if you don't like Sargon, whatever, it's still worth it, or find it on the internet somewhere if it's been archived, whatever the case is, because Callum did extensive coverage on the Derek Chauvin trial, and it's insane how much he was fucked over, and he should be released. He should be innocent. He shouldn't have received any form of punishment. If anything, he should receive a medal, like Sam Hyde is saying, and money, and whatever the case is, and had to get his family back. Whatever the case, he should get reparations for what's been done to him after all these years and what he had to fucking go through. Words cannot describe what that man had to go through and how unfair and injustice. Those words seem too weak. Those don't seem strong enough words to fully describe what actually happened to Derek Chauvin. It's radicalizing. It's blood boiling what has happened to him. The jurors had to be bussed through, and violent terrorist guards got cops and MP5s. Yes. There had to be like barricades around the courthouse too, and the police had to be constantly present around the courthouse as well. And there's riots every fucking day. It's just the amount of shit that happened. He should have gotten a mistrial.
PR, they'll call it. It's not catchy. There's no ring to it, but it should be so.
A show of power in whatever force, border security, it doesn't matter. Get troops doing something other than arresting pro-Palestinian protesters. Dummy. The Israel is our hero thing is over. That's the thing that gets these fucking bonehead conservatives caught up every single time, is if I can't beat them, join them. That's done for. It's over. It's not going to happen. You're not going to join them. They're never going to let you into the club. Charlie Kirk was in that club. He started to question the club. Now he's out of the club.
Yep.
There's no club. You're not in the club. They're going to kill you. They want to kill you. They want to kill your kids. Stop thinking that Israel's going to save you in whatever way, shape, or form, that making a pact with the devil is going to come out good for you. It's not. You're going to get fucked. Voter suppression laws. I'm sorry to tell you this. You can only vote if you have a penis.
Did you ever hear my friend Nick Oak's solution, which is anybody who, you can have universal basic income, like $4,000 a month, but you cannot vote?
Yeah.
And so that would get rid of a lot of bad votes.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And prosecute the people who stole the 2020 election, which is treasonous. That's the ultimate offense. If you're going by the playbook, if you're going by the Constitution is a document, an amazing document. It was, our founders were whatever. If that's what you really believe in, then the stealing of the 2020 election, is there a crime that's higher than that?
It's like war.
It's like war.
It's like a war.
Because the ramifications, the secondary and tertiary, all the stuff that flows out of that is worse than any other crime. Mm-hmm. What's that, the tweet from Pete Hegseth? Well done, good and faithful. This type of talk is meaningless unless you fucking do something about it. You can give Charlie Kirk the medal of, you can give him the even a higher medal. You can give him the XRP medal. It doesn't matter. It's meaningless if his death means nothing. If nothing comes from this, if you don't do anything, if you let this presidency and this moment fizzle, then it's all for naught. They should black bag Kash Patel and put him on a I don't know, I'm not a military guy, but a C-706 Globemaster. Yeah. Put him in there, isolate him like he's a serial killer, like he's on a rack and he's got the mask on. Put him on a 24-hour flight to India and drop his ass off.
Yes.
What can we do? First of all, you need a gun, and you need to not be looking for fights. You need to not be saying stuff like FAFO, Karen, fucking karma's a bitch, and then shooting some shop owner who did nothing. You need to be protecting yourself and your family. You have to arm yourself. You have to arm yourself. That being said, you gotta be careful. This is a time where anything could happen. It's not a time to be going out looking for beef. And secondly, I think it's time to become annoying. You see all the people getting fired?
Oh yeah, loving it.
All the shit that liberals did to us that's annoying, I think it works. I think we just have to do that. Get these people fired. Start cataloging this. We need a tech-minded person building a database, because Palantir apparently is vaporware. They don't really know anything about what's going on. There needs to be somebody who has crypto money and is not crazy, and who would be responsible with the data, and who has a legal team Someone needs to build a site to catalog the viciousness, the calls to violence, the nastiness of these people. And we have to start taking a page from the left's playbook. And I'm sure there are better options. I'm sure there's other things to do. But if you're bored, if you're angry right now, just legally get somebody fired.
It's a valid thing to do.
That's a valid thing to do. You don't have to worry, and you don't have to worry about the about the police coming to your door. Just don't threaten anybody over the phone, but just call the employers of these scumbags and make them aware of what their employees are doing. It doesn't feel good to say this, by the way. This is like tattletale shit.
They're not empty threats, though. Not
But
anymore.
it fucking works.
It's ethical, too, because this tactic was used against people for merely supporting a presidential candidate. And that's not to say that, well, if they did it, we'll just do it. But it is right that people that are entrusted, whether they're teachers or nurses.
If you're a teacher, a nurse, a firefighter, if you're anybody and you're walking around and you're saying you're gloating over somebody dying, you're gloating over a regular guy who is well-intentioned dying, you should be out of a fucking job.
You're a physician? I wouldn't trust you to mow my fucking lawn.
Yeah. I'm sure some better tactic will appear. This is not cool.
Sure.
Okay? But they should be followed for the rest of their lives with this data. Do we have a compilation of like TikToks of these people dancing around and laughing and stuff?
The thing is, I don't even disagree with it because because like what Sam Hyde and his group is saying, right? When you are advocating and cheering on and dancing on someone's grave who was just talking, his whole shtick was just talking to people and going to college campus and debating. And his whole thing was you have to talk or there's going to be violence. And you shot the guy calling for peace and talking. There was something severely wrong with you. And yeah, I wouldn't want you to be my doctor or nurse. I wouldn't want you to be my teacher of my kids, even though I advocate for homeschooling. The point remains. I don't really want you at any point that could harm me because, fun fact, I am more extreme than Charlie Kirk. At least I think so. And as the first few minutes of this Sam Hyde video was saying, this is you. Right? Charlie Kirk is you. That's how left sees you. They see this moderate man, think he's a fascist, alt-right Nazi, and deserve to die, and are happy about it. They think the same of you. And so I don't lose sleep over them losing their jobs, right? I don't lose sleep over the doxing. It doesn't bring me any pleasure that we've gotten to this point and that we have to do this tactic, because I do think it is evil. But there is a massive difference between gloating over someone dying and losing your job over that, and saying the N-word, or being a Trump supporter, or not wanting to take the COVID shots and losing your job over that. And that's what the left was using doxing and brigading for. The right is doing it because you're cheering on somebody dying. There is a stark difference, and I recognize it, and that's why I don't lose sleep over it. I'm not going to counter signal against it. I just don't want it within the community because I do think it's bad. I do think it's evil, and I don't want to be associated with it because I do hope, like Sam Hyde, there's going to be a better tactic. And I think we need state power and the arm of the law to be actually utilized against them over firing with it. I think that would be the more effective solution. This is just a temporary thing. There is an important difference over making someone lose their job and then also actually doxing their address. Losing their job? Fuck you. Don't care. I've seen on Twitter people posting people's addresses and pictures of their home. That's where I feel like that gets a bit too far, because then you're one step away from advocating for violence for them. And that's one thing I don't want to cross, personally. I want to give Trump the benefit of the doubt this time, to actually have a solution, to try to provide solutions to this by using the National Guard and the military and going after Antifa and other left-wing terror groups and getting rid of these people first. And then if Trump is not the final solution, then we can, when the funny mustache man rises again, then we can get that final solution. 100%. You should get that person fired in that case. That person should be locked the fuck up and lose their teaching license or whatever the legal requirement to teach is in Canada, right? Like, they should be just uncensored, yes, uncensored, and ranted at them, yes, right? They should 100% lose their job and be thrown in jail for that. Like, 100%. And so for people who are gloating about his Charlie Kirk's death,
finally, somebody with a gun, which is almost everybody in the fucking States, grew a pair and fucking went and shot somebody on the right side. Thank you. Can we keep this up?
You know why it's right to expose? Because first
ugh.
of all, you're not making anything. This is just truth that they did this. There's nothing wrong with showing something that somebody truly did, and it doesn't benefit us to live in a society that tolerates people gloating about death.
The just thing to do, even with revenge taken out of the picture, is this person should not be around children. They should not be holding a needle that's injecting anything into your body. They shouldn't be allowed to prepare food for anybody else to consume. Almost no job, maybe Amazon warehouse worker, is what people like this should be entrusted with. That's the just thing, even with revenge taken out of the picture. So
look, I don't even really want her as an Amazon worker either, because she might fucking plant a bomb in a package or something like that to be delivered at somebody who is right in Mao's house. It's these people are borderline dangerous. I don't think, especially since she's a woman, I don't think she's actually going to do anything herself. But you could see them as the Muslim rape gangs, the Pakistani rape gangs in Britain, right? A lot of the women involved in those gangs aren't actually the ones raping the girls, but a lot of them work as solicitors to get the girls, or are aware that it's happening and allow it to happen because and they support their families and protect them when the police come after them. They are they're either instigators, supporters of basically things like this, and they should be punished in some way, shape, or form. Ideally, have the arm of the law on them. And so, yeah, if they lose their job, well,
this is petty. It doesn't feel cool. It's not badass. It's the tactic that works. Period. And that's what our enemies have been exploring, pursuing with a tenacity that we're not going to be able to match because we're not evil, obsessed cretins. It's what has to be done.
Nonviolent, totally nonviolent.
On a positive note, they're comfortable enough to reveal themselves in totality. I mean, did you hear that witch cackle? That was crazy.
That's part of the problem, too, is that it teaches any children being raised and seeing this that is an acceptable option of behavior and mentality.
If you are confused right now, if you're bored, if you're angry, if you're thinking about how you're going to get back, while you're thinking about that, what you can do in the interim is you can make a polite phone call and ensure that one of these fucking freaks is broke. Furthermore, catalog what they've done, download videos, do some investigation of your own. You can practice your phone skills. If you call a place up and you're like, "Are you hired this person? I'm gonna fucking kill you." That's not good. You can earn money. You could become a salesperson. This is sales, actually. This is sales training. If you have any ambition to become a salesperson, 300 calls a day. That's what they say. You got to do 300 calls a day for 3 to 5 years, and then all of a sudden you have sales skills. Call up, see how nice and polite you can be. "Sir, how you doing? I have an offer that might interest you. So-and-so, this lady employee, she's actually on Instagram gloating over the assassination of a political figure in America. And I wanted to talk to you about your opportunities today to, whatever. Have ChatGPT write a script. It's easy.
Experience points.
A great man once said, "When we win, do not forget that these people want you broke, dead, your kids raped, and brainwashed. And they think it's funny. We can't forget that. Christ help us all."
Don't forget that, and pray. Thank God that you are healthy and have the opportunity to fight. And do not Fed post. Do not fuck yourself.
That is very important. I haven't really had an opportunity to really say this, I feel like, but I should. Going back to the whole getting people fired, doxing, things like this, it is important to realize, one, it's kind of a necessary evil when it comes to the firing part. Doxing I still think is bad, but the calls for violence, especially because I do see some people in the Rumble chat specifically that like to get up in arms about stuff, and I don't like it, by the way. When it comes to Fed posting like this, keep in mind that other than the fact that morally it's bad, and because violence is bad and Fed posting is bad, now the Trump administration is claiming that they're going to be going after violence on calls to violence on social media platforms, mostly from the left, obviously, because they're the ones doing this. But keep in mind that it's still bad and evil and against the law. So even if you're fed up and tired about the left getting away with this for 10 to 15 years now, and you are wanting to do the same to them because of the fact that you're just done, well, I understand that sentiment. You are putting yourself at risk, because when they go after the leftists, if they actually do go after the leftists, we do not actually have, despite what the left believes, we don't actually have the funny mustache man in power who's on, quote unquote, our side here. The Trump administration is ramping up, but it's still not as it's not as partisan and as radical as what people want it to be. And that means that if they actually fulfill their promise in going after calls to violence and etc. on social media platforms, that means you too will be swept up more than likely, or at least the chances, because the whole point is going after this. This will more than likely actually start targeting the right too, if you fall for that trap. And I do think it is important to remember that. Like I said, we don't actually have, Trump is not as partisan as people either believe he is or wants him to be. And I'm not going to say that's good or bad at this point in time, but just keep that in mind when you don't Fed post, right? That's bad, not only morally, but because you're going to get yourself in trouble. And also I don't want it here within chat in the Discord servers either, because I do not want to get swept away. Because if you guys get up in a tizzy too much, 100%, right? There, with everything that's come out over the shooter of Charlie Kirk being tranny adjacent after having that transgender boyfriend, and there's a whole bunch of trainees that have been revealed and know about this in advance and are gloating about it, and how all these talks about Discord servers and stuff like that. More than likely that means the FBI will be probably investigating Discord in some way, shape, or form if, once again, Trump fulfills his promise, which I kind of have a feeling he will. There's like an 80% chance, which that means that puts everybody at risk, including on the right. And just don't forget that. I get that you're angry, and I understand the sentiment after spending the past 10 to 15 years being beaten down by the left, by their tactics, and them getting away with it, that you're finally fed up and you just want the same back to them. I get that. I really do. But it's still bad. Fed posting is still bad, because morally it's bad. You should not call for violence. And also because you're putting yourself and me at risk. So don't do that. And we can't, I know we can't get every single issue at all times, but we also can't just let you go through everything one issue at a time either. Or else we will be just swept away and completely destroyed. We all need to remember that even though the right wing is in charge of the government is not on our side. Yes, 100%. I'm not a big fan of the government, as they say, and that this is one of the reasons here. Like, even though I want the boot of the law and I want the National Guard in the cities, I am more of a fan of an authoritarian state. Authoritarian states only work if it actually goes for your side, obviously. And right now, Trump administration is not completely on our side. And so we still have to be careful.
So far outside the American world, it's weird for me to be even messaging this to you guys, but my theory has always been whatever happens in America eventually reverberates across the world. And even though people may not admit it, we look to you guys sometimes for guidance. The stuff that's kind of happening at the moment, what's just happened in the US, is kind of a touchstone. So many different instances. Let's hope you can find a path that we can then tread together.
The world is watching, and what we do next is going to reverberate throughout history. It's going to determine whether or not this civilization that involves everybody, it involves India, it involves Asians, it involves blacks in Africa. What happens next determines the sort of the level of abject suffering that all of humanity is going to be subjected to for the next 2,000 years.
I didn't even like Charlie Kirk that much. I thought he was sort of like a Diet Pepsi version of the things I stood for. But I'm a father. I'm 32 years old. I have 2 little girls.
Jesus.
And I have such a pit in my stomach over it. And I have pretty radical ideas, but I'm not the kind of person that wants to go burn down stores or rob Nike stores for food.
Well, he's clearly white.
I will not be satisfied until I see these people atone for this. And I know that I'm not the only person. Thanks for letting me voice it.
We all have a brother or a cousin or a friend or a parent who's not based enough or whatever. We're in this together.
I think the events of this week have gone right around the world, even here in Australia, in the Southern Hemisphere in general. What's next for the international approach to this sort of ideology that's Christian in nature and wants the best for people versus the people that just don't want us at all?
I don't know what Australians are going to do. They're fucked.
Come here.
Bro, I have no idea. Are they having a thing right now? I haven't been paying attention. They got some people down there?
They're very oppressive. Very oppressive.
Yeah, I don't know, brother. I don't know what to tell you.
I did see the Australian national protest happen a couple weeks ago now. I don't really pay that much attention to Australian politics, I'll be honest. I'm mostly focused just on American and then British and then a little bit of European here and there, a little bit of Japs. You know, I try to keep my eye on things as much as possible. I can't follow every single country all the time, especially when my focus is on America. But I did see the Australian protest, and then there was one guy, I think his name was like Thomas, I think, is something, who apparently was like not an actual Nazi, but like more of a white supremacist, and apparently he was being booed and stuff. I'll chat correct me. I'm trying to go based off memory and what I was trying to pay attention to at that time. And man, I hope he's successful. From what I've seen, because not only was it just a national protest, which I thought was great, but if they actually have somebody out there saying Australia is for white Australians, it's not a multicultural society, you know, to deport all the browns. If somebody's actually there and has support and a decent amount of influence, that's amazing. If that's actually true. Not sure if I have any Aussies in chat, or anything like that, but if so, God, I fucking hope he's successful because desperately needs it. Not Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson's in the UK. And Tommy Robinson's is a civnat. He's not an ethno-nationalist. Tommy Robinson's a little bit too much of a Mossad agent. I've learned the hard way, which is very unfortunate, because I used to be a big Tommy Robinson supporter back in the day, during the Brexit and stuff. I've long past moved civic nationalism. I'm an ethno-nationalist, and Tommy is too much containment for me. But that's in the UK. I'm talking about the guy in Australia, because I did see some things about that, and yeah, apparently he was actually arrested. I think his name was Thomas. I'm not completely sure. I can't remember, because I wanted to cover the Australia stuff, but I was actually focusing more on the Jap stuff, because that was happening at the same time. I don't want to say Japan was more important than Australia, but I thought the Jap stuff was more interesting. That sounds bad too. I'm not trying to throw Australia under the bus. It's just that it was just, obviously we know the Western world's being attacked by the Jews and the globalists with mass immigration, but now they're going after Japan because they're the honorary Aryans, and I thought that was more intriguing, I guess, if that makes sense. But yeah, as for international stuff, I mean, I know this guy's asking Sam Hyde what to do, but I do want to add that I do think that internationally, people need to do the same thing. As Charlie Kirk's assassination was a shot heard around the world, and it mostly affects America because it's a state of American politics. But communism has spread throughout the entirety of the world. Globalism, obviously the whole point of globalism is global control, and has affected the Western world. The whole entire Western world needs to wake up and peacefully protest and do the national protest. And actually for Europe's for white people. White people come from Europe. It is their ancestral homeland for thousands of years. Only white people should be in Europe. It's that simple. Europe should be for Europeans. India should be for Indians. Chinese should be for Chinese. And until each and every single country within the Western world has that leader and that mentality and that force behind it to make that happen, the Western world's going to be destroyed. And every single country needs that. So if the Aussies actually have that, from what I've seen, from the little bit that I was paying attention to, then great. I hope he does well, and if he got arrested, I hope he gets released ASAP and continues pushing on. Britain needs that. Tommy Robinson is milquetoast and a Mossad agent. They need something stronger. Germany needs it, other than the fucking AFD with the fucking multiracial lesbian couple that they have in charge. France needs it. Every single European white country needs it, including the Japs. The Japs need the Japanese, though, because each country for their own people. And Europe should be only for white people. It's that simple. White people, only 6% of the population. They come from Europe. It's that. White people settled and created Australia. It was nothing but a dustbin under the Aboriginals. They were conquered, they were taken care of, and actually built society there. Same with America, same with Canada. Any of the basically colonial countries as the same way. I will dismiss and call you a retard if you dare to even try to use the fact that some natives were there before whites. Whites were the ones that built civilization. If you don't like that, suck my fucking dick. That's what needs to be done.
Country is gone in ruin. The only thing we can do now is to come together and fight the evil. That's the only thing we can do, is fight the evil. There's no reason to let it stand by any longer. We have to bring the fight to them. Fuck these people and fuck everything that they're trying to do to tear the family apart and tear normalness apart.
I think it's important to remember that the history of mankind is a history of struggle. It's only ever been struggle. It's the same as if you're trying to, the human body, if you're trying to gain muscle mass, you're always perpetually growing or shrinking or flourishing or dying. There's no such thing as homeostasis in nature or in any of the systems that sort of emerge from nature. There's no such thing as homeostasis. And I think compared to the battles our ancestors face, we have a pretty cushy gig here. I don't think we need to lament our position. We should keep in mind that just the history of mankind is a fight. It's a fight for resources, for influence, for culture, law and order versus chaos. And now's your time to sort of play your role in history. And I think we should have an optimistic attitude and try to always do our best.
Yo, what's up, Sam?
100%. I've always liked to say that we didn't start the fire because I know Billy Joel's a Jew and a globalist, but he has some good songs. What can I say? I'm a slut for 80s music. Anyways, We Didn't Start the Fire is a great song because it goes from I think 1945 to about 1989, from the year Billy Joel was born until the year that he created the song, and went through all the major historical events. And the whole premise of the song is we didn't start the fire, that there has always been terrible things happening throughout history, and each generation think it's the end, but the world keeps on turning and we keep on moving on. I didn't actually have that whole realization of the world turning, though, until the Charlie Kirk assassination. That was a painful, surreal experience myself, even though I understood that, even though it was my mentality, even though I've been saying we didn't start the fire for ages now. To have that surreal experience was definitely something, but it's still true. And things are getting worse. Things have been steadily getting worse since Billy Joel was born, since he made that song in 1989, and now in 2025. It's only gotten worse even since he made that song. But the world keeps on turning, though there will always be some another major horrible event that has occurred. But we have to keep on pressing on and trying to make things better, because that is simply just how the world works, and that's how humanity is. And we cannot give up on that, no matter how surreal the event is. Maybe take that break, take that breather for that day or two that you need to rest and recuperate, and then continue fighting on. And I do recommend actually watching the music video. I'm not much of a music video person because I didn't grow up with MTV, but that's what we're going through right now. And we gotta keep on pressing on.
Rough times, but chin up, chest out, reject the black pill. Thank you for the shit that you do, man.
Reject the black pill indeed.
Don't despair.
No, that's a sin for sure.
Hey, Sam. I'm seeing a lot of discourse about specifically that now that Charlie Kirk is gone, that like a powerful voice is gone, and that a certain amount of fighting or fight that was going to happen is now not going to happen because obviously he's passed. And when I see that stuff, I realize that it's occurring to me that like it seems to not really even matter whether or not anyone is here to do the fight, because someone's going to be like being there for a mouthpiece to something. And whether or not he was even going to make a difference or was making a difference, it feels like everything's just replaceable. And like this death is obviously going to have huge impact on the culture, or at least the cultural conversation for the moment. But it just feels kind of like I'm watching this fake reality play out, you know, I mean, we don't know the shooter, you know, the guy on the roof disappeared, but I don't know if we ever will know, but I feel like we know. But it's it's more of just a warning. It seems like this really could happen to anybody, even if you're quote unquote protected, even if you're playing the game, you know.
It's not a fake reality, it's real reality, and it's hard to process, but it's real. Someone will pick up the microphone and carry on what Charlie was doing. The world's never going to be the same. The right wing, the American right, is never going to be the same. And this generation of young people, this huge amount of young people who were fans of Charlie and moderate, reasonable people who watched him get murdered in HD, they'll never be the same. So it's a phase change. It's a big shift. It's one of the weeks where decades happens, but it is, I assure you, it's real. It is happening. It has happened. It will continue to happen. This is your life now.
Yo, Sammy, what's up, man? Big fan of the show. Thanks for all the giggles and laughs over the years, as well as the Hyde Wars thing, man. But I think my question for you is, as I've watched you over the years, you've always kind of maintained this sentiment of no matter how bad things get, no matter how shitty it is, you got to look towards the golden nuggets of hope and not lose sight of the beauty of life and the world around us. But in light of all this recent stuff, especially with Charlie Kirk, with the Zarina lady on the train, do you find it hard to maintain that sentiment now? I certainly am. Man, it's getting rough out here. Getting real tough. All right, anyways, big guy. Appreciate it again, man. Take care.
Is it the case that life is a test?
This isn't our true home. Our true home is, our eternal home is heaven. We're made for heaven.
Why are we here?
Well, it's not exactly just a test. Like this, both spirit and body, both physical, metaphysical, are realities. And this isn't meant to be a utopia. It's meant to be suffering, but it's what you do with that suffering, and somewhat like a test. It could be said that the trial of our era isn't starvation or war. It's like maintaining your passions when you have at your disposal the option to engage in any sort of fallen behavior you'd like to. And it's cheap and easy and available. And so your mission is to make sure that you and your family make it to heaven despite like the ease of fallen things. So I think that's that. But no, there's reality to life, and what you do does matter and resonate, but your death is not your death. Death in this world does not end. So you could have a miserable existence here, but if you're faithful and prayerful, your reward will be great. So that's that.
Okay.
I believe. I don't know. You know, things look pretty bad sometimes in the world. And the only thing that I would say that tears the veil of the, man, this is really bad, is like your family, like a child being born, like that you love and that loves you. It physically like rips the veil open and presents a world that is to a certain degree like in your control. And it's not through your own actions or your own decisions that you will do anything good. It is all through God that you do any good whatsoever. And you can't win at all, like in this world. You just can't. The odds are totally against you. You can't even make like a dent. If you have a lot of money, then yes, but it's like a lot. in cool cars as well, which I do sort of want now. But anyway, that's not going to save me.
Don't do that.
Okay.
Don't do it.
Okay.
But know that it won't save you.
No, I won't. It might deter me. But anyway.
It's also a cumbersome habit.
You do have some control in this world, and it's over you and your passions. Don't let hatred harden your heart. You can be angry, but through all the things that I felt, you know, I've seen worse things than Charlie Kirk's murder, but in a way I've never seen anything worse, and I don't know how to explain that really. But all the feelings of being angry or afraid and mad, like I prayed through them, and it really is like going to church, praying. You can maintain this sight on the eternal, and there's something better for us after this, and you just have to be faithful, prayerful, and resilient through all that, I think. So I think that's the white pill.
My opinion is that it's a privilege to be even allowed to fight. The joyous moments, there's indisputable evidence that we've been given something miraculous. It's that simple, I guess. There's indisputable evidence that we've been given something miraculous. and there's joy and beauty in a real way, not an imaginary way, in the world. And for me, at least, it negates whatever negative whatever. I don't believe Charlie Kirk's murder will be in vain. I'll just read this.
So I'm pretty open about being an atheist here myself. Though I'm not like a fedora tipping, Mountain Dew, Dorito loving, hardline atheist like I used to be back in the day. Part of the skeptic community, watching Armor Skeptic, Jacqueline Glenn, Logic, Dark Matter 25, Bible Reloaded. All those different YouTubers that used to make a bunch of anti-Christian, atheist content. I'm past those days. But there on the Friday stream when we were watching Erica Kirk's her speech on it. Her speech made me come to the realization, because back when I was the big hardline evil mean atheist, I used to think that religion was just a crutch for weak people to get through life, and if you weren't a weak person, you don't need religion. And then since I've gone past that, I've changed that mentality to more of an apathetic one where, okay, sure, some people need their religion and they can have their religion. I don't really care, right? Like I've recognized the importance of Christianity specifically and religion in people's lives and Christianity in general within Western society, even though I do think it's being inverted and used against, and it's easily subverted, but that's a different topic for a different day. I do understand the significance of it. But Erica Kirk's speech made me actually jealous, actually, that I didn't have that faith, because it made me realize that I'm actually the one that's weak. I know 10 years ago, plus that I thought, I was stronger because I didn't need religion to go through horrible times. But now I've realized I'm the one that's weak because I don't actually have that faith. Because I don't know if I could be able to be as strong as she was when I was watching that speech. She was crying, holding strong, and making this speech, and had that righteous anger within us, and she was using her faith to help her heal and get through it, even though it was only like 2 days after the assassination, right? Like, I don't have that faith. I don't have that strength. I don't have that weapon, that tool to utilize with it. I only have my night walks, the moon, and my music, which helps, don't get me wrong. I utilize it a lot. But I could tell just based off how she was within her speech and how strong that she was, that she had a much more solid foundation than I do. And part of me actually wanted that and it made me realize I'm the one that's weak. I don't know if I can get that foundation, I'll be honest, chat, because the big part is actually believing in God, and my issue at this point with religion is actually the belief and actually believing there's somebody out there, not exactly the moral framework and the religion itself. With it, I just can't get myself to believe there's a specific higher power. I'm not against believing there's a higher power out there, but I can't exactly believe there's a specific higher power within God itself, within the Catholic or Orthodox, because it would be back to Catholicism or Orthodox Christianity that I would go to if I were to revert back to religion. I have a hard time believing a specific God is real. And that's my biggest hang up with religion at this point. But I can recognize the fact that I don't actually have that foundation that she does. I hope that even though I don't have that, and I want that, I hope that there are people out there, like Erica Kirk, like I don't know his name, the Asian dude that was just talking. I kind of feel bad at this point that I still don't know his name. With it. Or any of you in chat, because I do know a good chunk of you are Christian. I'm happy that you guys do have that foundation, because that is a strength.
Charlie Kirk's murder, is revealing who is unfit for civilized society. People who are glad that a father, husband, and innocent man died. They're not interested in remedying their spiritual and mental illness. They just want you to die instead. I'd say the majority of us, patient, sensible, mildly optimistic, are just about done waiting for things to improve. We're very much invested in never being around you people ever again, and there's a new feeling of readiness to actively ensure that becomes a reality. These people should no longer feel comfortable around us. They should hide, and when they're detected, they should be shameful, groveling, and apologizing unceasingly.
It's true.
The casual celebrations of Charlie Kirk's death, murder, and Irina Zarutska's murder should be documented, and the people behind them should be exposed. I'd really like to add indifferent to the list too.
But I'm being nice.
There will be a list, an actual spreadsheet of all the information on these people. They should not be harmed. They should merely have every material possession taken from them and every social opportunity withheld as long as they are unrepentant. This is totalitarian or whatever, so maybe not. I do know there is a misunderstanding of freedom. It is sometimes mistaken for license, which is, quote unquote, do whatever you want. True freedom, however, is only freedom from the bondage of sin, the freedom to willingly choose good. The entirety of the media exhibits them thriving, going unchecked while they film TikToks about transing children between teaching elementary school classes. Hundreds of thousands of likes for brazen, satanic victory laps.
We literally need Hitler.
After Charlie Kirk's assassination, I was reminded of a quote that I read several days ago from St. Paisos the Athonite, and it was going over my head for many days. But now I think I know why. I read it and stayed in my memory. I'll read it to you a little bit. God takes each person at the most fitting moment of their life. No one has ever signed a contract with God about when they will die. God takes every person at the moment most suitable for them, uniquely chosen for each one in order to save their soul. If God sees that person will become better, he allows them to live. If he sees that person will become even worse, he takes them in order to save them.
I don't know what that means if that means that Charlie Kirk was about to become worse.
Yeah, well theologically, I don't know.
I think his heart's in the right place, but that sounded like gibberish.
Hey, it's good to want to know God more.
Sure, I like that.
But it's a sin to assume to know God's will and intentions. So
I mean, maybe the guy thought that Charlie, because, well, I mean, look at the backlash behind Charlie's assassination here and how much power it has. Maybe the guy was trying to simply say that Charlie died at the right time for the right motives and the right necessary because God knew it was going to happen. Kind of like what Sam Hyde said in the beginning of the video or earlier in the video about how, it was a divine intervention, a miracle that Trump survived his assassination attempt. Maybe, I'm assuming that's what the guy meant-ish. Yeah, it was his time.
That sounds scary. And I'll wrap this up by saying that there are a lot of details and things to get caught up in on your phone, and there's going to be a lot of AI-enhanced logos and fruity little distractions to get caught up in and paths to go down and things that are important, things that are not important, et cetera, et cetera. At the end of the day, we are in a spiritual battle for the future, for our children, for our people, for humanity. I think that we should be optimistic. The black pill is for and don't be that. Don't be black pill. Don't let evil stand in the way of you connecting with joy and gratitude and God. And I think that it's probably a good idea to pray. And pray specifically that God keeps you on the right path. I think that that's a good one. Is there a better one?
It's a pretty good one.
I would pray that I stay on the rails. I think that's a good one to go with. I think that we're going to win. I don't know why. Why would I say that?
Well, because it's been written.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
That's good to know.
In the end, we win, but it might be ugly to get there.
Guys, I want to quote my favorite philosopher. Batman. Once there was only dark. That's the quote. That's not even a quote. No. Make the ChatGPT do the fucking quote. You're right. I cut it down too much before. I wish AI was sentient so I could fucking beat its ass. I want to end this episode with a quote. I'll tell you, Marty, I've been up in that room looking out those windows every night here, just thinking. It's just one story. The oldest. Light versus dark. Well, I know we ain't in Alaska. But it appears to me that the other guy says this part, the dark has more territory. A lot more. You ask me, that's not the quote. Fuck this.
Well, I think they cut to a bunch of stars, so if we can cut, it's a visual.
Wrap it with what Valentine said.
I think if our enemies were strong, they wouldn't have to use such underhanded and slimy and outright heinous acts to try and instill fear in us, attacking a soft target in front of an audience like that. And I think I don't think they're underestimating us. I think they know exactly what they're up against. And I guess I'm just optimistic, personally.
And I wanted to say about the last part of Sam Hyde's video here about the black pill. I consider myself a black pill black pill streamer. I mostly cover current news. I try to do one game stream a week, though I've been kind of slacking on that because of everything that's been happening as a break. But generally, 3 out of the 4 streams is usually politics and current news. 99.9% of the time out of those 3 streams is usually bad news, right? Right? I like, and that's why I consider myself a black pill streamer, because what we normally go over is just bad news all the time. It's rarely ever anything good. And personally myself, I've been called pessimistic my entire life from all sorts of people, and I've always countered that no, I'm realistic. I'm not pessimistic, right? I don't think that the whole world's going to burn and everything should die and blah 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 blah. But the reality is life fucking sucks. And so you have to deal with it and get through it and keep on moving on. And I think that's a more realistic mentality, in my opinion, more than pessimistic. But it doesn't change the fact that my content and my general thought process is blackpilling. I probably won't change my content because I cover politics, and well, politics is politics. I do think it is important, and I do want to try to bring up the positives a little bit more, like the insistence upon community, for example. Somebody recently DM'd me talking about thanking me for talking about community and how important it is to the growth that and connect with your family and work within a more local level. And they thanked me for it, and they actually asked me to talk about it more and do a bigger segment about it. And well, I thanked them for thanking me. But it did kind of strike me about, okay, so not only is it important just to stop yourself from blackpilling to talk about this, but there are other people like me out there too that do have a tendency to blackpill as well, that needs to be reminded about this too, about the importance of local and community. I did tell them though that I don't actually think I'm the right person to go more in detail about community and how to grow that, because frankly I'm a hypocrite, right, chat? I do think the importance of local involvement in community and family, but I'm a hypocrite. I don't leave the house, right? I have an amazing dad and a great sister who's basically my mother figure, but for the rest of my family, I'm not close at all, and actually have lots of problems with and constant drama, and I just try to stay away as much as possible. And I don't go to church, right? I don't, like I said, I don't leave the house, right? I'm not getting involved really with the community. I'm not going to the neighbors and saying hi to them and talking to them or anything like that. I'm a hypocrite, and I don't feel like I'm the right one to actually go into detail about how to build that community and relationship, because I'm not doing it myself, and I don't really actually know how to do that. With it. I should, right? I should practice what I preach and actually do that, but I don't think I'm the right one to actually go into detail on how. I don't have solutions. I'm one of the, at this point, millions, maybe not millions, thousands of commentators out there that talk and talk and talk, but don't actually do anything and build anything to actually make any change or offer any solutions. And part of me is okay with it, because I've always said that I'm just here to vent at the end of the day, right? That's how I see streaming for me, is me just venting about how much I hate everything. I never thought I would build anything or really planned on building anything in general. I just wanted to vent about my politics and my thoughts and stuff like that, and that's still how I see things. But it doesn't change the fact that I am a hypocrite, that even though I preach about the importance of community and family, I'm not actually practicing it myself. But I still think it's important, and I still wish that even if I'm not doing it, if I'm being a hypocrite, I still hope that you, chat, can do it instead, right? Like, not in my stead, because that's wrong, but I do hope you do it for your sake and for your family and for your community. And then maybe one day I'll get the balls to do it myself. And hopefully that can be my enacting of change, because I do think it's important, even if I'm a hypocrite. I hope that makes sense. Hope that's not too convoluted there. So I mean, I don't know. It's back to the we didn't start the fire, right? Things always happen and it's always bad. Honestly, I feel like my life would be better if I didn't actually have my tism in politics. But I've been interested in politics since I was 12. And I was a history nerd. I'm not a history nerd anymore. But I was a history nerd before that because I found it fascinating. I've always found history to be one massive story, and I've always thought it was fascinating that we're essentially living through history and that massive events keep on happening around us and that one day we'll be written in history books too. I've always found that fascinating. And so my interest in politics really just kind of fit in perfectly with it. But my life would probably be better if I was a regular ass fucking normie who didn't pay attention and just carried on and kept my head in the sand. Would it change anything? And would things probably still continue getting worse? Yeah, but my life would be better, wouldn't it? I don't think that's the correct mentality. I don't regret my interest in politics, because politics will always find you even if you're not interested in it myself. And so in a way I'm grateful that I'm actually into politics, because it kind of avoids politics finding me, which is always the worst stance to be in. But I'm also aware that my life would probably be at least a little bit more peaceful if I wasn't into it. So if you want to have help on regional community, watch Think Before You Sleep. Oh, I used to love Think Before You Sleep. I used to watch the shit out of him back in the day. He was really influential on me trying to become a better woman in general. Because I found his psych help, because he also has some interest in psychology too, to be quite useful. I used to be a big fan of him. And then he dated Brittany Whitney. And I didn't really mind him dating Brittany Whitney, to be honest. But ever since he's dated her, he has changed. And I don't think he's changed for the better. It's been a minute since I checked up on him, since I've kind of been distanced. I don't say distance, I don't know, that sends the wrong impression, but ever since I just kind of lost more interest in him. I don't know. It's not the same. I did say he's been uploading though. And every once in a while his videos show up in stream suggestions, and I just haven't picked them to watch actually. So I wonder how he's doing. Because I used to be a big fan of him back in the day. You're spreading the word of all, and that's important and valuable. I mean, I'm glad that you think I am, but at the end of the day, I'm just another retarded anime woman on the internet. I'm another political commentator number 2554. Like, I do think it's important that more people stand up and talk about it, but at the same time, I don't know. I feel like my real utility there, I guess. Don't be afraid to speak your mind. That's how you get captured by the chat and end up like Hassan. That's a fair point. I do try to remember not to be audience captured. I'll be honest, chat, it's a little bit more difficult for me, even though I know logically, because despite all the saying about not being a socialist, I do care what you guys say and think, and I don't like upsetting and disappointing you. And, but I also gotta remember, too, not to be audience captured, and so I'm not scared to actually speak my mind, because that kind of defeats the point, doesn't it? So, and that's not the right mentality to have. I just hope that even if you do disagree with me, that we can agree to disagree and still have a pleasant conversation. And if I ever do anything to upset you guys, that please be honest with me. And if it's something that I can course correct, then I will happily do so. And if it's not, if it's something that just pisses you off so much, then, well, I'm retarded anime woman 5000. I don't even know at this point. I don't know. You guys are nice. I don't want to be mean to you guys. So you're okay. You're okay. I just, don't think they should get reparations. I mean, I pretty much agree. We're in somebody said in the chat about a cold civil war, and I feel like it's actually pretty accurate. We have been in a pretty cold civil war for a very long time now. And it's starting to heat up, but we're not fully at that point. And I don't know if we're ever going to fully get to a full-blooded civil war, and I hope we don't. But we definitely are in a fight for our lives. And we will win. We have to win, and we will win.